You have for a very long time.
It's called trank, animal tranquilizer. They're putting into drugs now.
If you do too much of it, it take your breath, your air. You seen one guy down, thought he was dead.
Right.
Also known as xylazine, is an animal tranquilizer proven deadly for people, and it's making its way across American cities.
Coming more east than it is anywhere else.
Worst epidemic that I've seen, heroin epidemic. That was even worse. We had females selling their daughters, people selling their bodies. But now I'm seeing people doing all kinds of crazy movement. Not no drugs causing that. That's just a person that got a mental problem. Can't blame that on no drugs.
I think it's a harder drug than crack.
They're calling it a zombie drug and a silent killer.
Walking around with no shirt on in the middle of winter time.
Drugs are getting crazier.
Make it go real crazy, real fast.
37 down here on these streets. Almost 30 years. Some people that's homeless go around, start stuff with people. Some robbing, some that panhandle, some that abuse drugs. You go to the neighborhoods, our neighborhoods, the ghettos, that's where you see stuff like that.
Good luck, man. Thank you.
Right? On the real, I name this zombie apocalypse because I feel like everybody waiting on everybody waiting on the zombie apocalypse to happen, and it's already happening. It's already here. We already living in it. It'd be crazy how they get us used to shit. Like, it's crazy. It start out with movies. They'll play the movies. You know, you see it in movies, and then they already prepping you, and then it just start like happening in the world, and it's just regular. Like, people be regular. People be walking down the street seeing people act like that, and it be regular. Motherfuckers be going shopping with their kids, and it don't bother them. It's just regular. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't think that's crazy? I think that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fucked up that people got to go through that. I'm talking about them people like out there doing drugs shit like that because it really ain't their fault. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, but you know, everybody do got a choice. But at the same time, it's like, it's regular. People be living their life, walking down the street. Shit be regular. Like, it's crazy. People, you know, going out to eat with their family downtown somewhere, and just, you know, see that shit with their kids and shit. Just like zombies falling out all on the ground and. Like, yeah, the world, like people, you know, everybody, the zombie apocalypse, gonna happen. It's already here, and people don't even know it. Like it's all around the world. This shit is not only in America; it's like this overseas too. So it ain't even just like there's places overseas that's going through the same. That's going, you know, it's like just like this. Everywhere like this. It ain't just San Francisco and shit like that. There's little places like Milwaukee and you know what I'm saying?
When we started Versus 10 years ago, we had this idealistic mission to redefine.
No lie. And this might be some like conspiracy theory type shit, or you know what I'm saying? Or they might not even make my video. I just like to speak facts though. You know what I'm saying? They might not even make it reach people for what I'm about to say. I feel like it was some funny shit going on when they supposedly went over there and KILL the Taliban. What was his name? Dude. Him. Forgot his name, but yeah. I feel like, you know, they take shit. You gotta think about it. Before that war, before they supposedly was tracking down Taliban and they was chasing, what's his name? The other dude. Got his name. Start with O, but yeah, him. He supposedly, you know, like in Afghanistan, before that so-called war, it wasn't like that over here with what? The opiates. It wasn't United States wasn't like Percocets and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it on my video, but you know, stuff like that. It wasn't real bad. After that war, so-called war, or tracking them down, it hit hard. And guess what? Afghanistan is like the #1 place for what? Opioids. Like they got it over there. So something tell me that somebody went over there. I ain't saying no names. Somebody went over there and bullied some shit and took that shit and brought that shit back over here. And after that, what? It been downhill. It been like, you know what I'm saying? Just like with Gaddafi, when they went and got Gaddafi, and I'm gonna just say this real quick and get back to the video. But when they went and got Gaddafi, well, why did they go get Gaddafi? Because he was gonna make a gold dollar. He was gonna make a gold dollar. That was gonna kill the United States currency when he make that gold dollar. He had the gold. He had plenty gold. Gaddafi. And what they do? They act like he was a threat. He was a threat because he's gonna make that. And what they do? They went and got that gold. They went and got that gold.
Fentanyl is a highly potent opioid. It's at least 50 times more potent than heroin. People are being exposed to fentanyl without knowing it. And because it's so highly potent, people are dying at unprecedented rates. What's happened in the United States is fentanyl has entered into all these different parts of our drug supply, including the heroin supply. Cocaine, for example, have increasingly been tainted with fentanyl. pills that are sold on the street that might look like regular prescription pills are very often fake counterfeit pills that have been made with fentanyl in them. Someone experiencing an overdose will have this decrease in breathing, might lose consciousness, might start to turn blue or pale, and within a few minutes can die. Narcan is sprayed up the nose, which is very easy for people to administer. It's safe, it's effective. There's virtually no downside to doing so. It's a critical tool that I encourage everybody to carry with them, to have in their homes so that they can act quickly if they need to. From 2019 to 2021, overdose deaths among 10 to 19-year-olds in the United States more than doubled. In pediatrics, we're not used to our young, healthy patients suddenly dying from things like overdoses, but it's increasingly become a reality for so many of us who practice right now. I have had patients die. I've had patients whose family members have died, and all of these people are children, brothers, sisters, moms, dads, family members, and they're all loved. And these deaths are often unexpected and tragic.
Digital agencies, listen up. Duda introduces the power of website building.
This is Culiacan, capital of Sinaloa State.
And I just want to say, it's not only coming from Mexico and the cartels, it's not the only ones that's making it. This shit coming from everywhere now. Because it's big business. It's big business. So motherfuckers getting their hands on them ingredients everywhere. Afghanistan, China, everywhere. You know, and they selling it. It's big business.
And strongholds.
That's the thing. People be looking at it like the cartels and stuff like that be the only one. Everybody be having their hands on this shit. They just make it look like the cartels is the only one, but no. For real. That shit coming from China and all that shit now.
Of one of the world's most powerful drug cartels. For decades, the city has been controlled by the narcos, using a combination of wealth and fear. And in these streets, songs of praise ring out for the drug lords.
Soy el ratón, soy Ovidio, soy Guzmán, hijo del Chapo. Soy hermano de Alfredito y de Archibaldo, y por cierto me disculpo por lo del Culiacanazo. Yo no pedí.
Murders happen here daily, the ultimate penalty for upsetting the cartel. But right now, it's deaths over the border in America which are getting all the attention. For years, marijuana, heroin, and cocaine have all been produced and trafficked through this area. There's a heavy military presence, but the cartel is thriving thanks to a new product, fentanyl. And it's one of the most deadly drugs the world has seen. We're driving towards the mountains of Sinaloa. This is cartel land. It's an area controlled by the sons of El Chapo Guzman. And after days of talking to a person close to the cartel, we've been granted permission to film inside a fentanyl lab, the drug that is killing thousands of people in the US. There are now dozens, probably hundreds of fentanyl labs here in Sinaloa. No land is needed to grow ingredients. It's entirely synthetic. It's so easy and cheap to make, it can be cooked almost anywhere. We've disguised the cooks' voices at their own request.
Y eso lo compras en la ferretería nomás.
Most of the chemicals are easy to find. The rest can be imported from China. Production is quick. If a shipment is seized at the border, there's always more on the way. I have been to narco labs before, but I have never seen anything like this. Huge quantities of pure fentanyl cooked daily. It's an opioid like heroin, but 50 times as strong. It can be diluted and made into pills, but often it's cut into other drugs to make them stronger. That is how most overdoses happen.
We've been told that there are 40 kilos of fentanyl here.
And now they going crazy with this shit. They putting this shit on everything. They putting this shit on the weed. They putting it on the coke. They putting it on this. They putting it on that. They putting it on everything. They putting this shit on everything. They like, fuck it, put this shit on anything. Put this shit on some chips. It's gonna have them addicted. They just putting it just the secret sprinkle.
Ready to be sent up north to the US, where their value is more than $500,000. But this amount of fentanyl is enough to kill a whole city. Eso es lo más fuerte que hay. O sea, ¿cuánto de esto te mata? Un pedacito, cuánto? ¿Unos granitos te matan?
And it ain't no shit where, oh damn, if I get some, the thing you gotta be worried about is dying. You know what I'm saying? You get the wrong, you smoke weed and you get some shit with some fucking fentanyl on there and you die. Or you take this type of pill, X pill or whatever, and it got fentanyl there and you die. You know what I'm saying? You damn near ain't gonna get addicted to it if they put it on some type of drug. You probably gonna get sick. You gonna get sick. You ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? You gonna fuck around and get sick. But yeah, they putting it on everything now.
Key ingredients from China are difficult to import directly into America, so Mexican cartels dominate production.
¿Piensas que tantos gringos estén muriendo por esto?
No, pues depende. Algunos se pagan cuando hay material muy fuerte. Pero como el problema de ellos, mínimo más trabajo ya. No solo la fábrica, pues no hay la obrera que se ponga nada.
Entonces, ¿tú piensas que la gente que se muere allá pues es porque ellos no saben consumirlo?
Pues digo yo que sí. Mucho por equivocación que piensa que es cocaína y se muere también.
These men have been cooking drugs since they were boys. The cartel life is pretty much all they know. They have little sympathy for the northern neighbors.
Ellos también mandan muchas armas para acá. La mayoría de las armas que hay aquí en Sinaloa son puras armas de para allá, de los gringos.
I don't want shit that's gonna have me leap over like this that I can't move. You know what I'm saying? I probably gotta make a fast move. You know what I'm saying? I don't want shit that's gonna have me stuck like this. Yeah, you can't do shit. Motherfucker fuck you up. You can't do nothing. I don't want nothing like that.
Ellos mandan muchas armas para allá, ¿no? Yo soy la mayoría de armas, ¿no? Igual busca la manera también.
Cooking fentanyl is now the most lucrative career for many young Sinaloan men. They hide their exact formula from me in case I try to steal it.
Deberían de estar destinando fondos.
Mexico's president has denied multiple times that fentanyl is produced in his country. He blames American culture for the crisis.
Hay mucha desintegración de las familias. Hay mucho.
And this so funny, dog. That is funny, dog. They blame America culture for the crisis, but where the fuck did the ingredients come from? Who made the ingredients? Blame them. You can't blame American culture because American culture didn't make this shit. Like that shit, the ingredients ain't just No shit somebody just found in their motherfucking cabinet.
Individualismo, hay falta de amor, de fraternidad, de abrazos.
Somebody had to make the ingredients, but it all starts back when they had to they went and did that war. Afghanistan, if y'all do the research, you know what I'm saying, you can Google it. Afghanistan got the opiates. Before that war was the opiate crisis in the United States it wasn't an opiate crisis. People was doing crack and stuff like that. It wasn't no opiate. It wasn't heroin and fentanyl. It wasn't none of that then. It wasn't. I mean, it was, but it wasn't as bad as it was what it is right now. Like it's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And they knew exactly what they did. They hit the young people with the Percocets and the pills. Well, we know how we gonna get them. We gonna get them the pills. Sooner or later they're gonna be doing this shit. Sooner or later they're gonna be fucking fentanyl. They gonna graduate. But the people that don't want to do it, we gonna get them the pills. They gonna get this. Real, and they know exactly what they want.
De apapachos, de atención a los jóvenes.
Obrador campaigned on demilitarizing Mexico.
Not even only the pills, like the Percocets, the lean, sipping lean, all that shit is, you know.
His slogan was hugs, not bullets. But he has vastly increased the military budget and power. More Mexicans have died during his presidency than any others.
You could tell he on pure bullshit, and I ain't even tripping. Like he on pure bullshit. He trying to blame it on United States.
Sleep pod cover. It's a liquid-cooled mattress topper that is clinically proven to give you better sleep. So let me tell you why I love it so much. First off, it's just super convenient to change the.
In January, just days before a visit from US President Joe Biden, the military launched a pre-dawn raid in Culiacan. They were after one of El Chapo's sons, Ovidio. The cartel fought tooth and nail to stop the arrest.
And all this should be a game too, because it's a game. This should be a game, man. It should be a game. It don't be. They ain't in charge of all the fucking fentanyl around the fucking world. This shit is everywhere. It's everywhere right now. It's everywhere. I just saw fucking people like in India, Pakistan. You know, like the Indian people with the Indian dress, you know, dressed like linked over too. I'm like, damn, all the way over there too, like everywhere. Like people all in fucking Germany, people all in UK. I'm like, wow, this shit is everywhere. It's everywhere.
These were familiar scenes. In 2019, the military tried to arrest Ovidio, but were forced to release.
When you think about it like that, it's like, come on, man. It ain't just the fucking cartel. No, this shit bigger than the cartel, man.
Him after heavy narco violence. This time, the military held on to him, but Culiacan was once again left looking like a war zone.
Good.
Nos llegó la noticia por el radio como a las 5 de la mañana de eso que estaba pasando y nos movimos con todo lo que teníamos.
These are sicarios, elite hitmen who carry out the cartel's murders. They battle the military to hold on to their leader. The government says 10 military and 19 cartel gunmen were killed, but the sicarios say the death toll was much higher.
No, pues hubo un enfrentamiento grande, la verdad. Mucha muerte, como del gobierno, como de nosotros también.
Sí. ¿Cuántas personas de ustedes más o menos murieron?
Pues no les sabría decir exactamente, pero unas 60 de perdida de ahí para arriba. No, pues siempre se siente mal porque también es un respaldo para uno, porque hay otra gente más mala que se quiere meter acá con uno y ellos se portan bien también con uno, la verdad, y te das cuenta que es una protección para toda la gente de la ciudad.
I asked the gunmen how they feel about killing people on behalf of the cartel, and they told me that they consider themselves soldiers in a war against the Mexican state.
más mi apellido es Ovidio, su padre de niño le apodó el ratón. Es hombre con mucho cerebro y es hijo del Chapo, aquel señorón.
Ovidio's story is immortalized by so-called narco corridos, songs based on traditional Mexican folk ballads. But in Sinaloa, they glorify drug lords and battles with the authorities.
Agradezco a la pleba del Jueves Negro, se rifaron por mi cuero con todos los del gobierno.
The drugs business is fully ingrained here, and ultimately the arrest of one high-profile leader does nothing. The increased production of a deadly drug like fentanyl has made things more dangerous, but while business is good, it will not stop.
Tonight,
you'd see people kind of like walking around looking like animals when their knuckles are touching the ground. You're like, what's going on?
It's being called the
What's crazy is like they went from fentanyl to like trank and all type of shit now. Like they didn't got like stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like this shit is wild.
deadliest drug threat in the U.S.
Everybody was dying. Everybody just started just dying.
A lethal combination. Animal sedatives laced into street drugs.
Close to 50% of our overdoses have xylazine.
Turning users into the walking dead.
Trank puts you straight to sleep. It's nothing like heroin, and it destroys your body.
It's the drug itself which is causing necrosis. It's causing the skin to die.
Now, it's in.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm like, motherfuckers, people waiting on a zombie apocalypse to happen. This shit is already happening. This shit is eating people alive. This shit, less like a fucking zombie. It's making people lean over. This shit is eating their skin. Like,
infiltrating our area.
Have you heard of any trank being in the dope in New York City?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, when the zombie apocalypse happen, when the zombie apocalypse get here, I'm gonna be hiding under the bed. When the zombie apocalypse get here, I'm gonna be waiting with my gun. It's already here. It's already
Xylazine is dangerous, is deadly, it is here.
This just happened to be a one-time thing for her.
Mary Murphy with a Pix 11 news special. Trank, the zombie effect.
An animal tranquilizer that knocks out horses is knocking out humans and sometimes killing them. I'm Mary Murphy in the Bronx with an in-depth look at trank. Doctors call it xylazine. There are drug mills here that are mixing trank with fentanyl and cocaine and moving the doses out to
What? They mix it. How you gonna mix anything with fentanyl? Wow.
other cities. Xylazine has now been found in 48 out of 50 states, prompting the drug enforcement.
And then they gonna mix a fucking horse tranquilizer with fentanyl? You want to die.
Administration to issue a public safety alert. Only 2 states remain trank-free, South Dakota and Wyoming. Our journey started in the city of brotherly love, and what we found.
So it's to the point to where people thinking they getting fentanyl and they getting trank. They getting trank. Wow, I bet you it's probably cheaper to make that trank shit. That's probably why they came. I'm gonna look into it. I bet you.
Here was alarming. Trank now mixed into 90% of Philadelphia's fentanyl and heroin supply, drugs that drive up the fatal overdose rates.
See, because wow,
causes sort of pulmonary impairment, sedated breathing, impairment in your heart function. What happens is people can almost suffocate if you're not paying attention to them.
People are also developing open wounds, and their limbs sometimes have to be amputated. This city now the epicenter of this scourge.
Unfortunately, we have one of the biggest open-air drug markets on the East Coast.
There are very strong drugs here in Kensington.
Under the elevated train along Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia.
It's sad. Like when you go up to somebody.
The last 2 months, we've seen this get worse.
33-year-old Mike has a needle in his pocket and apparent gangrene on his leg.
You got to get on some kind of antibiotics, buddy. Since we're from Philadelphia, we run into people we know.
There's so many individuals out here that have lost their limbs.
I know.
The sores blamed on the horse and cow tranquilizer xylazine, known as Trank.
You want to go to a hospital? You want to go there now?
Shit, when I see zombies, what I know of zombies, if I see zombies on movies and on video games, and this what it looked like. It looked like what's happening in Kensington and San Francisco and shit, Milwaukee and shit.
Now, because I can take you there.
When Trank is mixed with the man-made opioid fentanyl,
it's made a deadly drug crisis far worse.
Special Agent Patrick Traynor has worked for the Drug Enforcement Administration in Philadelphia for 25 years.
We noticed that xylazine was being used as an adulterant.
Users like Art El Malik noticed the color of the dope was different and much more.
You'd see people kind of like walking around looking like animals when their knuckles are touching the ground.
Fentanyl doesn't have a very long lasting effect. Adding a horse tranquilizer, something more sedating, makes it feel like it lasts longer.
But xylazine and fentanyl both suppress the heart rate and breathing.
And everybody just started just dying. Like nobody knew that it was that strong.
It's a sedative. It's not an opioid, so the Narcan has a little effect on it.
The DEA says between 2020 and 2021, the presence of xylazine in overdose deaths increased more than 1,000% in the South, 750% out west, 500% in the Midwest, and more than 100% in the Northeast.
We are tracking xylazine across the United States, and there is no question that it is an increasing threat.
For more than 50 years, xylazine was regulated by the Food and Drug Administration for veterinary use, but heroin users began experimenting.
Down here in Puerto Rico, we've been seeing xylazine for a long, long time. We noticed that around 2003, it would extend the high. The ulcers here were pretty bad.
The animal drug actually reached Philly by 2006. Xylazine's deadly reach has extended across Pennsylvania to places like Hostetler, here in the western part of the state, where a young mom was found dead in December from a lethal mix of xylazine and fentanyl, along with other drugs.
She was a really good person. All she wanted to do was help people.
Deanna Posca, a mother of...
It be so fucked up, man, because these people will sell you whatever. Like, they'll sell this shit to you, man, just to get $20 in their pocket and fuck around and kill you. Like, they don't make no fucking sense, dog. That shit is nuts.
2 boys, had recently finished her 4th stint in rehab for heroin addiction.
She was clean for 4 months. You know, she came home from the rehab and felt good about life.
But she relapsed in a house that coal miners once used, the xylazine level high in her body.
It was larger than what we normally see in a lot of the toxicology reports that come back. Definitely a strong contributing factor.
The coroner of Westmoreland County told us half of the overdose deaths this year involve xylazine.
This year, right now, we have 15 confirmed overdoses, and 8 of them, unfortunately, have xylazine in them.
Detective Justin Scalzo of the Greensburg Police Department says he's also seen a different animal drug tainting the street supply.
We started seeing carfentanil come into the area, which is commonly used as an elephant tranquilizer. The people mixing this aren't rocket scientists, right? These are street dealers that are mixing it. They are cutting their product to make it more powerful.
I think it's going to be a potential problem for all.
And I swear, that's why they be like, it's street dealers. Man, this shit ain't start with no damn street dealers, y'all. Man, this street started with y'all. Fucking government.
All the areas across the region. Generally, these things hit the area in waves.
Deanna Posca's death featured on a billboard with warnings about the most lethal drug around.
How the fuck the street dealers just come out of nowhere with this shit? The fuck out of here, man. The fuck out of here, dog. How the fuck the street dealers just come out of nowhere with this shit? How the fuck the street dealers just come out of nowhere with fucking fentanyl? How the fuck no. It wasn't even like that. That's because y'all wouldn't got that shit and brought that shit back over to the United States. Y'all brought the opiates over here, motherfucker. Y'all know what y'all did.
Yet the people who made and delivered a fatal dose of xylazine and fentanyl to her were never held accountable.
I hope they rot in hell.
The trank puts you straight to sleep. It's nothing like heroin.
And then they point the finger at the petty ass bottom of the barrel drug dealers that's in fucking the ghetto neighborhoods that's trying to survive. They don't know where they ain't never even been outside them fucking 10-block radius in each area, each direction. People stay in their neighborhood. They don't even go to other people's neighborhoods. People in the ghetto neighborhoods, they stay in the ghetto. They go to the corner store. They get their money in the ghetto neighborhood. They don't go out the ghetto. They don't go out the neighborhood for shit. So how the fuck did they even find fentanyl? But they to blame though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make it make sense. These people be tripping.
It destroys your body.
A Boom health van parks daily near IV drug users sleeping under the Grand Concourse.
You need wound care, anything like that? We come here every day. We're stationed here at Kingsbridge Road. What we have are basic untreated wound care issues. So we bring wound care kits with us. God bless.
I'm seeing a lot of infections, plus running out their arms.
Skin ulcers associated with xylazine, the animal tranquilizer called Trank.
It's the drug itself which is causing necrosis. It's causing the skin to die.
Dr. Rafael Toruaya says he was studying for his PhD in New York City 15 years ago when he encountered Trank users in the South Bronx who were flown here from towns in Puerto Rico.
The mayor would purchase their ticket and send them to either New York, to Texas, to Philadelphia, right? So that's called turfing. And we were trying to warn this is happening.
Years later, in the middle of the COVID pandemic, city doctors began to notice a disturbing trend.
In 2021, about 19% of fatal overdoses that involved opioids also had xylazine present.
It would extend the high. It does extend the high.
IV drug users are now allowed to test their samples at this harm reduction site.
Every time I find dope that has horse tranquilizer in it, I tell everybody around and don't use that and tell people not to buy that stuff.
The New York City Health Department issuing an advisory last November warning medical providers about xylazine mixed into fentanyl, the deadly opioid.
They may remain sedated for longer after the overdose event.
And while there's always speculation about why the drug supply changes,
you have glassine bags that contain both fentanyl and xylazine.
Frank Tarantino, special agent in charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration in New York, says the reason is simple.
This is a $500 billion a year business, so this is about making more money, and this is about increasing their customer base. These drug traffickers are obtaining xylazine on the internet. They're getting it through pet supply stores or veterinary clinics online.
In November 2014, when heroin was the scourge, before most of us ever heard of lab-made fentanyl, we explained that New York City is the hub for drugs coming into the Northeast.
Fentanyl is still the greatest drug threat that we face today in the United States, but when we mix xylazine in with fentanyl, this drug threat becomes even more dangerous.
Tarantino took us to the DEA lab where kilos are tested.
The lab will handle exhibits all the way from Vermont down to Philadelphia.
And you're seeing xylazine in with the fentanyl in from most of these places?
Yes, in fact, 15% of the exhibits examined in the second quarter of this year have xylazine in it.
And you're looking right here at something that's being analyzed with your chemist, right?
That's right. He's looking at a pie chart right now to determine the different types of cutting agents and different properties in a particular exhibit.
Another chemist used special fluids to check the drugs.
This particular stamp has a emoji of somebody coughing, and it says sick call on it. You have lookalike, or what we call fake fentanyl pills that have xylazine mixed in it. This is what we refer to as M30s or oxys. For 7 cents, that pill can be made in Mexico and then sold on our city streets anywhere from $7 up to $30.
We're on Wallace Avenue in the Bronx. The special narcotics prosecutor told us that after...
And my little cousin passed away from a fake pill, you know what I'm saying? So it's real.
After 100 people overdosed in a single weekend in Berks County, Pennsylvania, on a mixture of fentanyl and
On the
xylazine.
bus.
The source of the
Really?
bad batch was traced
Out on
back
the street
to
bus.
a drug mill that was located inside this nice apartment building and to 2 other locations in the Bronx.
I would say that New York City is our primary source city of drugs in the city of Reading.
Hello, everybody. And Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer sounded alarm bells in upstate New York after 40 people overdosed in Syracuse from a mix of xylazine and fentanyl.
And that is turning the opioid crisis here in the capital region into a complete nightmare.
A federal and city task force found 20 kilos of fentanyl, some with xylazine, stashed in this Cube Smart storage facility in Jamaica, Queens.
One of the most alarming trends that I've seen is this mixture of cocaine, fentanyl, and xylazine.
The trend in the Northeast is only spreading.
When we start to see xylazine increasingly mixed in with all of our different illicit drugs, that is also like a tidal wave moving across the country.
Next, how tranq is serving a dual purpose for drug distributors and the dangerous threat it poses. Welcome back to this Pix 11 news special, tranq, the zombie effect.
Xylazine, the horse tranquilizer known as tranq, serves multiple purposes for drug distributors. It's being added to the fentanyl supply to increase the amount of product and also to enhance the high. Fentanyl, the opioid that kills so quickly, exploded into the street supply about a decade ago. A viral video from 2013 looked at Staten Island's obsession with oxycodone pills. But the young woman who played the Blue Fairy died 3 years later. Charissa Turk was 8 months pregnant, a victim of the fentanyl wave, just like music icon Prince and rap star Mac Miller.
I remember, yes, I remember, yes, I remember it all.
EMTs could not keep up with the overdoses.
Well, a little 7-year-old called us saying my mom is dying, and she overdosed.
Danny Latterman of Ramsey, New Jersey, was one of the earliest local fentanyl victims in February 2014.
And I said, why? Why? I can't understand why.
The dealer was Darius Kahari, father of Danny's football teammate.
His son was the captain of the football team.
Fentanyl, a man-made opioid produced in a lab, was a much cheaper version of heroin and drove U.S. overdose deaths to historic levels. The total hitting more than 107,000 people dead between August 2021 and August 2022.
Fentanyl moves through the body very, very quickly, and that's partly why it's so deadly. People get knocked out.
My parents are on the floor. My sister's saying they're not waking up.
It was shocking to hear this 911 call made by a 13-year-old boy in Ohio as he got ready for school. The teen's stepdad, an airline pilot, both parents poisoned by fentanyl. Narcan became a game changer, the nasal spray able to reverse a potentially fatal overdose in seconds. Yet xylazine is changing the game again, a sedative that doesn't respond to Narcan.
They call it caballo, anesthesia de caballo.
Horse anesthesia, meant to mimic the warm, fuzzy feeling of heroin, which has now virtually disappeared from the street supply, replaced by fentanyl.
Wow. A mixture of tranq and fentanyl is now considered the deadliest drug threat of our time. Coming up, the effort to target foreign companies that market fentanyl. You're watching a Pix 11 news special, tranq, the zombie effect.
All of the recent warnings about the animal tranquilizer xylazine are attached to mixing it with fentanyl, considered the deadliest drug of our time. The White House has officially designated the mix an emerging threat in the United States, and the U.S. Attorney General recently announced new efforts to target the financial accounts of Mexican and Chinese companies that market fentanyl.
If I want to buy xylazine now, I go on a website that's in China, I order it, I make payment, and it gets delivered to my house or my P.O. box.
Derek Maltz, who worked for decades at the Drug Enforcement Administration, wasn't mincing words at a congressional hearing about Chinese criminal networks selling chemicals from Mexico and others to make fentanyl and xylazine, known as tranq.
criminal networks that have been doing a bombing campaign on our country with synthetic drugs. They need to be held accountable, even if it means using our U.S. military.
Maltz once led special operations for the DEA when cartel boss El Chapo was captured in Mexico. El Chapo flown to the U.S. and convicted in Brooklyn federal court in 2019.
This conviction is a victory for every family who has lost a loved one to the black hole of addiction.
El Chapo's son Ovidio, called the biggest trafficker of fentanyl, captured later that year by Mexican forces in the northern city of Culiacan. But the Sinaloa cartel responded with machine gun fire that overpowered the military, with soldiers' families targeted. The Mexican president actually released Ovidio Guzman back then. But El Chapo's son was captured again this past January, several days before U.S. President Joe Biden paid a visit to Mexico. The U.S. mail has been a vehicle to get fentanyl and xylazine into homes and drug mills.
The drug traffickers, the Mexican cartels specifically, are using the mail delivery systems across the United States to, again, move their product.
In 2018, we visited the JFK mail facility.
Sometimes upwards of 800,000 packages arrive at JFK every day through the mail facility. We can't possibly look at all 800,000 packages.
A laser was used to scan packages for fentanyl.
This is showing up as furanol fentanyl. The drug organizations realize that if they send smaller shipments, there's a greater possibility of it getting through.
Here's the problem. The illicit fentanyl is what we need to focus on, and that's coming out of Chinese chemical labs, okay? And they want to destroy us. So FDA can go ahead and say whatever they want. It's not going to stop the Chinese criminals from dumping.
Trying to tell everybody thinking it's just like the fucking cartels. Is not.
This poison into America.
In the early days of fentanyl getting into the tri-state, when Danny Latterman bought a deadly dose from the father of a fellow football player, the DEA learned suspect Darius Kahari was dealing with Chinese and Canadian fentanyl dealers.
It ain't never the person that's on Front Street. The person that's always like, they always point the finger at, it ain't never them. It's the person, you need to worry about the person that's in the shadow.
Now some of the precursor chemicals are coming from India.
It's being made illicitly in labs in
China, India, you know what I'm saying?
China and other countries, and it's being sold to these traffickers on the streets that are now buying it as little as $1 a kilogram.
When we come back, some final thoughts on the impact of this deadly drug combination. Welcome back to this Pix 11 news special, Trank, the Zombie Effect.
Xylazine, or trank, was never meant for human consumption. And when it's mixed with fentanyl, an opioid, the outcome can be deadly. Opioids are highly addictive. They trigger the release of feel-good endorphins. We leave you tonight with the people most impacted by trank and fentanyl, a grieving family, and the people who can't stop using the drugs.
It's a whole nother world.
So why did you end up coming up to Philadelphia?
My mother died of coronavirus.
In the shadow of Philadelphia's Free Library and the elevated train along Kensington Avenue, we heard Sean Anderson's opioid story. How did you get into the heroin?
My mother gave me the first bag of dope.
Your mother?
Yeah. Mom. I was sick from taking pills. I had a hernia operation, and she gave me pills because I was sick one time. And she gave me a bag of dope, so.
Anderson is now doubly addicted to the animal tranquilizer xylazine, known as Trank, and fentanyl, America's scourge. He's trying to get off fentanyl.
I'm on Suboxone, and Suboxone don't take care of Trank, you know what I mean? So I still use.
Art El Malik also wants to stop using fentanyl.
They give you a shot once a month, and it lasts for the 30 days or whatever. And it helps with the cravings somewhat, but there's a lot more to it.
There's no shot to try and get off Trank. Did you come close to losing a limb?
Yeah, actually, both of my arms had completely, I could actually see the muscles.
Beyond the dangerous, unsightly ulcers caused by Trank.
Mike, you're going to lose your leg. You know that, right?
The animal drug suppresses breathing and the heart rate, especially when added to fentanyl.
Because of how it impairs the breathing function and your lung function, that sort of enhances the opportunity for death. It is now spread into multiple neighborhoods across the city. So it's really too difficult to ignore or to minimize or take off the radar, if you will.
The harm reduction community is on alert.
It's probably our biggest fear right now.
Mixed into the drug supply across America, 31-year-old Deanna Poska got a lethal dose in Western Pennsylvania. She had no skin ulcers.
No, she didn't have any of that. This just happened to be a one-time thing for her, and it killed her.
Deanna left behind 2 sons who are living with their maternal grandparents.
I hope to teach them the awareness. We don't shy away from the drug discussion. The only way I can say to curb it is knowledge.
Deanna's mother recalled her daughter dabbling with pain pills in high school.
Pills are what led to the heroin, yes.
Deanna married at 19 and eventually lost custody of her boys. She tried to get clean in 4 rehabs, but fentanyl kept its grip on her. A huge billboard in her hometown now warns of the drug's toll.
She wanted to be a counselor at a rehabilitation center. She wanted to help others get through it. Every time she was in her sober spells, she wanted to be part of the solution. It's all a matter of choices at the very beginning. It is a disease, absolutely, but it starts with a choice.
Thank you for joining us for this Pix 11 News special. I'm Mary Murphy. Good night.
These are videos that are doing the rounds on social media. People can be seen walking strangely, behaving in a manner that is as bizarre as it could get. Their behavior is being called zombie-like. Now, we've all heard of zombies. There are movies that talk about them. But what really is going on here? What's making these people behave this way? These videos are surfacing at a worrying time when concerns have been rising over a drug in the United States. It's being called by different names. It's being called the zombie drug, a flesh-eating drug, skin-rotting drug. And it once again is bringing America's worsening opioid epidemic to the forefront. At the heart of this horror story lies an animal tranquilizer. It's called xylazine. It can knock you out for hours, so it can leave the users vulnerable for long periods of time.
Begin tonight with a Pix 11 News exclusive, a visit by our TV crew to a section of Philadelphia where thousands of people kill over like zombies addicted to a drug that's meant for animals.
Yeah, the street name is Trank, and federal agents told us the drug has already made its way to New York City. It's mixed into fentanyl and the heroin supply. It's eating away at people's skin. Mary Murphy joins us now at the preview of our special report at 10 p.m. Mary.
Hi, Corinne Tamsing. You know, my colleague John Frazzi and I have been in the news business for 40 years, and we've never seen anything like this. People on the verge of losing their legs or arms because this animal tranquilizer called xylazine, or Trank, is infecting their bones. They're now keeled over, as you said, on sidewalks along Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia because they're being heavily sedated by Trank, which is mixed in with highly addictive fentanyl and heroin. Fentanyl may be driving the fatal overdose rates in the United States, but Trank is leading to amputations because the people can't stop using it and it's boring into their muscles and bones.
Next thing you know, you wake up with these big ass holes all over you, these sores in your legs and wherever. They just pop out anywhere.
Have the doctors told you that you could lose your leg?
Yes.
And that's not enough to get you to stop?
Trying. It's a lot easier said than done.
We would wake up and we'd be completely sick.
Have the doctors or nurses said that you could lose your hands because of the Trank?
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility. Yeah, it's a possibility. A lot of my friends have lost their limbs already.
You have problems on your legs?
I did, man. I had like a hole in my shin. There was a hole, man. I got in bed one night, man, and I was like washing my leg, and I could literally put 2 fingers in there.
Trank is in 90% of the drugs that were lab tested in Philadelphia, and it's already here in the city, possibly in 25% of the narcotic supply in New York City. Tonight at 10, we will look at whether the Drug Enforcement Administration has any control over Trank, which is moving across the Northeast to the southern United States and out west. Tamsin and Corey.
You hear ambulances and you say, that's probably someone dying of fentanyl.
People probably think they buying fentanyl and they buying Trank.
And I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I've lost so many people I love in that way, you know. It's just, it terrifies me.
I've overdosed numerous times.
If I didn't wake up tomorrow, what would I really be missing?
It's 10:45 on a Tuesday morning, and we're here in downtown Ottawa. My producer Ryan and I have been walking around speaking with people who use fentanyl. We wanted to get a sense of what the opioid crisis looks like in cities like ours, and within minutes, we got a first-hand look. One man on the ground struggling to survive, another injecting himself. We came across scenes like those pretty commonly while we were gathering this story. It's shocking, but for Jesse Curry, it's just part of daily life.
All my teachers were like, you're meant to be a graphic designer, you're meant to be a photographer, you're meant to be a dancer and a singer. I was always in the plays and I did all that kind of stuff.
We met her near a supervised
and all these
site.
All these skills that I got on here, they all are up to date. Like it ain't none of them like over a year old. They all like 4 months or so. So these are all like up to date information.
Keen to tell her story, so we go for a walk. I wanted to know about her life before all of this. She tells me she's an artist at heart, took courses in fashion, graphic design, loves photography. When people say like opioid crisis, like how do you think of that?
Oh my God. I've been out here since the beginning. Well, not the beginning of it, but the worst parts. Homeless, nowhere to go for almost 3 years now, with a great loss of people in my life that I loved very much.
So, how many people have you lost to overdoses?
Hundreds. It doesn't end. It's actually really sad.
Friends? Yeah, she's lost a lot of those. But Jesse's also got a really young daughter. She's about 7 years old. Hasn't been able to speak to her in years. Jesse says she was a full-blown addict when her daughter was born. Doctors and medications helped keep that addiction in check, but after a while, it all fell apart.
And after the 4th, 5th year of her being on the earth with me, I had a moment of PTSD where everything kind of fell apart in my life, and I was remembering past things that I shouldn't have remembered. But then I turned to a break as a mother, and that break turned into her never coming back. So her never coming back was in my mind, and I started using other drugs, experimenting with meth, and then experimenting with shooting meth, and then experimenting with all this other shit, and then taking pills and drinking. It was all the things I could get my hands on. As long as I was numb, I was fine. And so smoking it became the first way to do it. But then I started injecting it, and then every time I injected it, I found myself either passed out somewhere, being molested, raped, robbed, or almost frozen to death, or in some comparable position.
Like that's traumatic. You wake up from been passed out on fentanyl. Like what goes through your mind in that moment of becoming conscious again?
Every time I've woken up, I've been with that person that was hurting me. So it was like a fear of like, how the fuck am I going to survive this?
Devastating stories. They're tough to hear, but Ryan and I, we heard a lot of them. And for us, it really helps put faces to all of those numbers. Big picture, across Canada in 2016, opioids were killing about 8 people daily. In just the first 3 months of this year, we're already seeing an average 21 people dying every single day across the country.
Is that guy all right? All right. You sure? Yeah.
The next person that agrees to speak with us is someone that you might walk by at your local park. Jason P. LeBlanc loves hanging out by the water, likes to read. He's got a community of friends out here on the streets. And they all try to look out for each other.
We go down to Strathcona Park and we talk, watch the river, ducks, stuff like that.
Guys like Jason, they have survived when hundreds of their peers have died. He's been on the streets on and off since he was 13. A couple nights ago, he had to sleep in a dumpster. Before that, it was underneath someone's front porch. Can you talk to me about the first time you ever did fentanyl? Like, what made you want to try it?
I was in detox in Windsor, and I was doing oxycodone during that whole escapade, and I needed to get off it. And the guy in the detox I was in
They had like back in the day, it wasn't Percocets and stuff like that. They had oxycodone. They barely could find fucking heroin. Like in Milwaukee, I mean, I'm not saying like I was looking for, but you can't like people ain't had that shit. That shit wasn't around. It was oxycodone and shit like that.
had some patches, and I said, "Let me try one." It was 100 microgram patch. I did it, and I just remember waking up in the hospital. That's it. I was sitting on the toilet, did it, and woke up in the hospital.
Have you lost a lot of people to fentanyl overdoses then? Have you lost a lot of that community?
I lost, I guess you could say, a common law wife. I lived with her for a couple of years.
To overdose to fentanyl?
And it just, it's a hole that I can't fill up. Every day I wake up, I can't not think about it.
What goes through your mind when you see people using fentanyl these days?
There goes another one, you know? You hear ambulances and you say, that's probably someone dying of fentanyl.
$5. That's all it takes to get a hit of something that you might never wake up from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, both Jesse and Jason, they know that they're playing with fire. Every person we spoke to knows the dangers really well. Have you had any close calls yourself?
I've overdosed numerous times.
How many?
Let's say around 20.
You had close calls?
Yeah. 2.
Can you tell me about those? Can you describe them?
The first one was at a buddy's house, and I think they Narcaned me about 7 times. It was frightening. All I remember is like hearing everybody, but I couldn't move. And everybody was just fighting. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So I reached over and I saw another Narcan. So I Narcaned myself.
What goes through your mind every time you're about to use? Is there a worry there that this might be the last time?
There's no worry because it takes away the pain from things that have happened in my life, right? And I don't feel it.
And they knew what they was doing, putting drugs, like the opiates are like that. Like it takes away. That's everybody excuse, I would say, or everybody crutch. Everybody like, oh, it takes away the pain. You know, you got your heart broken. You take Percocets. They take, people take, or if you in pain, you take it, or if you sick, you take it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy.
No more, and it just goes away, and I don't feel it.
Why go back to it?
Have you ever been dope sick? If you don't use in the streets and you're dope sick, you're vulnerable and you're not safe. You're basically going to be on the ground twitching, convulsing. You're not going to have the strength to move. You're going to want to vomit. You're going to be shitting and pissing your pants. Pardon my French. I'm sorry.
But I was in jail with people that did that and went through that. You only gonna, if you want to quit, you'll quit because you only gonna go through that for like 3 to 5 days. I was in jail with a lot of people that was coming in, and they were shitting everywhere and everything. But you know, it lasted. Everybody was 3 to 5 days tops.
Sorry, but the illness is so much greater than the flu. It's like it's an emotional wreck as well because you're sober, so you're thinking about all the reasons why you got numb in the first place.
Are you afraid of not waking up from one of those? I mean, you've mentioned so many people that because you've had people overdose, right? I mean, but
It's so sad to say that. But I haven't heard from my family in almost 4 years. Like, what do I have to live for, really?
we really didn't expect to hear that. I think when we set out on this piece, we maybe expected to hear that people were afraid of the drug that's been killing so many. To hear them say they don't care if they die, I think that answer was a real shock. But for a lot of people living through this, it's not surprising at all. Cheap drugs, high stakes.
Everybody gets this thought of feeling, oh, it's really strong, but it won't take me out. You know, I've done this, that, and the other. But that's actually a sales pitch, you know. Along with the names they'll give it, like, you know, death row or nuclear bomb or, you know, stupid shit like that.
Get down on my knees and pray to God to keep me sane. Every day we taking substance just to ease the pain. I'm numb to it all, I can't explain, this shit is strange. But in the hood, bad or good, some shit'll never change. Some shit'll never change. People standing on the block, getting knocked by the cops, fools shooting at the ops. Some shit'll never change. Some shit'll never change. Niggas standing by the store trying to get off they little sack. Pops in the hood never had a full amount for the pack. Tell them no, they get some money, they don't know how to act. Young niggas off them drugs with them sticks, they ready to crash. Police get on your ass, you got that shit, you do the dash. While you out there having fun, make sure you put some in the stash. All the shit we been through, they don't even know to have. Sometimes it feel good to sit back and just laugh. My hood like the jungle, got them snakes in them lines. If you ain't got tough skin, you be fooled at dinner time. Sometimes you gotta resort to crime, make sure you survive. Know some people working 9 to 5, barely getting by. Know some veterans apply for Social Security, ain't got to knock. In the hood, we was taught what you give us, we multiply. Look me in my eye, if I tell a lie, cross my heart, I hope to die. We just play the cards that we was dealt and we don't ask why. Look me in my eye, if I tell a lie, cross my heart, I hope to die. We just play the cards we was dealt, we don't ask why. Some things will never change, and one day we know we all gotta take that ride. Get down on my knees and pray to God to keep me sane. Every day we taking substance just to ease the pain. I'm numb to it all, I can't explain, this shit is strange. But in the hood, bad or good, some shit'll never change. Some shit'll never change. People standing on the block, getting knocked by the cops, fools shooting at the ops. Some shit'll never change. Some shit'll never change.